Welcome, everyone, to our crypto podcast on YouTube, where we explore cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, discuss the latest news, trends, and developments in the industry, guys. Whether you're a seasoned investor or you're just starting out, this is a great way to start. Our podcast is for everyone, guys. Our goal is to provide you with informative and engaging content to keep you up to date in this ever-evolving space we call cryptocurrency. So it's important to start somewhere, and I hope this podcast is that place for you guys. So sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee. I got my raw milk today, and let's get into the markets. Okay, guys, so what we're looking at here is the Bitcoin daily chart. So each candlestick represents one day of trading. I like to look at it more on like a weekly time frame just to like zoom out a little bit. Bro, look at this. Like we actually are seeing a golden cross. Like, look, like, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Look at this golden cross. This is a buy in my eyes. Isn't that crazy? Look at, when's the last time it had like a clean golden cross like that? Unless it gets rejected. Look at, you know what I mean? Like this is handsome. So we started our podcast at the depths of the bear market. Like, what was it, like December? Like it was like literally around.
No, we were filming videos like September, October.
So
we
like,
were filming before FT. We were in the middle of FTX. We had videos in the middle of that.
So this whole period is when we started.
Yeah.
So that'd be crazy if we just caught the bottom. That'd be awesome. All right. So again, this is the weekly chart of Bitcoin. We're sitting at 28.2, so 28,000. All right, let's pull up Ethereum chart. We'll do the Ethereum US dollar pair. Same thing. We're we have the golden cross, but not on the weekly chart. We have the golden cross on the daily chart right here. So if we look at the daily chart on Ethereum, which we're sitting at 1807. So it's kind of like the same from last week, our last podcast. I knew we were at like 1805 or something. But again, you can see we have that golden cross. This is where the 200 and the 50-day moving averages cross. So a short-term and a long-term trend. So this could be a potential. Yeah, this could be a potential reversal in the markets as far as like a price action perspective. Before we move on from the charts, my price prediction, again, not financial advice, based on historical analysis and what it did in the 2019 bear market, I think Ethereum, Bitcoin, I think we have another leg up, especially with how clean this golden cross is. I could see Ethereum going to 2,500 and Bitcoin going to 35K before it sells off into the end of the year. I think we're going to have like a pullback. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but what are your thoughts on as far as price predictions?
Yeah, I think we'll be in a 30 to 40 range this year, like through the summer. I think we'll get a pump in the summer. And I think that as it usually does, along with equities, when people are tax harvesting at the end of the year, there's always that suppression of price. But what I will say is that things are getting to be very exciting. We're getting very, very close. You know, we're about a year out from the halvening, so we're coming into that pocket of where things start to shift pretty significantly to the upside when it comes to at least to Bitcoin, and the altcoins kind of like, you know, Bitcoin runs first and the altcoins kind of like grab its cape and like follow it up. So, and sometimes it catapults the altcoins even farther than Bitcoin goes. Like if Bitcoin does like a 2 or 3x, some of these altcoins do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 X's. So if you're in the right coins, there's some life-changing money that can be behind some of these pumps. And I think for the most part, you'll see probably 30 to 40K Bitcoin most of this year, maybe a little bit of a pullback here and there, and then, you know, which is healthy. You know, it's nothing to see Bitcoin drop, you know, 2,000 to 3,000 in a 24 to 48 hour period, and then, you know, kind of stabilize and then go back on another ascent. Like that's just what it does.
Yeah. So this is the path to alt season, phase one, and we've seen phase one, which was the money flowing into Bitcoin, especially with the bank scares. And then you can see phase overlap, money flows into Ethereum. So I think we're going into phase two. where money flows into Ethereum and Ethereum starts outperforming Bitcoin. Again, you might think differently because you're a hardcore
Well,
Bitcoin.
the Shanghai upgrade, I was
Yeah.
hearing something about that they're going to be releasing those coins.
Withdrawals,
I think
April 12th.
15th. April
April
15th, I
15th.
think.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry. I should have known that, especially for
Yeah,
being.
you got the Bitcoin maxi telling the ETH maxi the date.
I'm not an ETH maxi though.
I'm not a Bitcoin maxi.
I'm a make money maxi.
I feel you.
So yeah, so if Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, we hear about the Ethereum flippening, and then phase 3 is large cap. So like the Uniswaps, we got the synthetics, we have the sushi swaps, we have those larger cap, top 50 money start to flow into those again. And then phase 4 alt season, large caps have gone fully vertical. We're seeing blow off tops, mid caps, low caps, micro caps all tend to pump around the same time. Large caps have been outperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum, because they're smaller market cap. So it'll make sense that a Uniswap might potentially get a better return than Ethereum, because I think of it like leveraged Ethereum, like those like altcoins that work on Ethereum. Memes are everywhere. You'll start seeing the meme coin. We're definitely not in phase 4 because meme coins are dead right now.
Yeah.
So I think that was a cool little visual for you guys.
I think right before we get to the next topic, I think I'm really sticking by my thesis that I've talked about before. I think AI coins are really going to be the leaders this next bull run. With all the chat GBT, a lot of AI stuff in the news. There are some AI plays in crypto that you can get into. We talked about the graph before. There's some other coins that you can get into that I think those are going to be the ones that really rocket. I think there's some money to be made in these AI coins, and I think there's going to be some serious pumps in some of these coins.
Well, I think that's more of, and this is just my opinion, I think that's more of like a narrative trade. I wouldn't like invest and hold in these because there's going to be so much more AI coming in the next coming
some
years.
We haven't even heard of yet.
Yeah. So it's like, and a lot of these altcoins that are AI backed, they don't really use AI as much as people think. So it's like, it might be a great narrative play. Like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely money to be made, but personally, it's not something I'm going to go in and dollar cost average in for the next 5 years. It's like something I'll put in like play money and see how the trend plays out. That's just my personal preference.
I think those are going to be coins that you're going to want to like sell the top too. Like you're going to want to, when you think you can't predict when the bottoms are, when the tops, you try to get as close as you can. But when you feel like, all right, this thing just rocketed 10 or 20x, like, all right, time to take profits and spin it into something that I want to be in long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what's going on with this Elizabeth Warren building an anti-crypto army? That's her campaign.
Yeah. You would think that that's a meme. You would think that that's a meme that a Bitcoiner made up, but that is a legitimate, actual campaign ad by this idiot.
All right, so let's just watch this quick video for a minute, and let's just watch it.
With Bitcoin, there's no thing that backs it up, and that's what makes it different. It's just belief. You and I assess. You assess the value is going to go down. I assess it's going to go up, and therefore I buy.
So it's more like this artwork.
No, because at the end of the day, I can hang that thing on my wall,
right?
And I can enjoy it, or I can throw darts at it.
You could sell it for money.
Sure, you can. I mean, there are features about it that are the same, but it's not the same. And look, one of the things we have to remember there are a lot of things that come within this crypto world. So, for example, we could be talking about, instead of Bitcoin, we could be talking about digital currency. Now, that's something very different.
I think that's different too. I buy that. I accept that.
That's right, because that's a government-backed electronic transfer. And it can be denominated in dollars, it could be denominated in euros, it could be denominated in some new language that's made up. But that has something that backs it up. It has a government that says, if at the end of the day there's a run on this stuff, everybody wants theirs out, the United States government promises there will be something to back it up. And that's what banks are about. There'll be somebody there to back it up. But with Bitcoin, that's not the case.
There'll be something to back it up. She acts like the government backing your currency is a good thing.
Well, she basically explains when she talks about crypto and Bitcoin, she talks about basically nothing backing it. There's just basically people like feel like there's, and then he talks about the painting on the wall, right? He talks about that. What about the painting on the wall? She's like, well, I can sell that for something. And it's like, yeah, you can sell Bitcoin for something. You can sell Ethereum for something. Like your argument is completely trash because you're basically explaining the dollar. The dollar has nothing behind it. The dollar is backed by nothing. The dollar is just a figment of all of our imaginations, and we all just engage in it because we're told that there's the full faith and credit of the United States government behind it. So it's like your pitch is perfect for the dollar. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's crazy because she's these people like her and Powell and yeah, like they're not dumb. Like we make fun of them because we hate their position, so we call them dumb, but they're not stupid. Like they're very smart people. So she's put in a position to play this role. She's playing a role right now. That's what she's doing. She's an actor. She's an actress. She's playing a role, and her role right now is to be anti-crypto. And you can say that she doesn't understand Bitcoin. You can say that she doesn't know. She knows. I think she understands what it is. I think she understands what it is, and the people that are paying for her campaign are afraid of it, and she recognizes that. So she has to, post up and play her position in order to satisfy the people that are funding her campaign. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, and I'm not saying this in jest, I wouldn't be surprised if she stacks sats behind the scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if Yellen and Powell are doing the same. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk. I'm serious. They're not dumb, but they're playing positions.
Could you imagine if they had a Coinbase account and they were like saying this at the same time buying? I feel like the public would know.
They're probably smart enough that they self-custody, bro. And they got in a spot that nobody can see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild that she's like put her flag in the sand. Because if you look at her, like that tweet she made, I looked at that, dude, there were like, I would say 85% were people smashing her. Just like, what are you talking about? Hashtag Bitcoin, hashtag crypto. Like, dude, the community went after her. Like, she's taking a chance, man. Like, I don't know the makeup. Maybe she's safe in Massachusetts. I don't know the makeup of Bitcoiners and crypto holders in Massachusetts. Maybe it's low and they've done their research and they know that she's going to be safe there. But the majority of the population, they've done studies. Like, a lot of people own some sort of crypto. The numbers are like 50% of the population votes, right? Like 50% doesn't vote, 50% votes. And then you got to get like half of that 50%. So you really only got to get like between 20 and 25% of the population to like you to win elections. But what if 50% of the population own crypto? Now you're narrowing the amount, because if somebody sees that, they're like, what is she talking about? Like, she's obviously against me and against my freedoms, right? So why would I want to vote for that? So
that's risky.
Yeah. I would be really interested to see like who did the research to see like, is it safe to like really take the stand? And if Bitcoiners and crypto guys actually like can get her out.
I really wonder how this is going to play out. This is going to be very, very interesting.
The comments are fire, man.
The throwing the darts is just ridiculous. Like when she pulled that out of her ass. Awesome. So moving on, Bitcoin halving countdown, 1 year, 17 days. Let's bookmark this. This is a very important day. Typically when Bitcoin has a halving, bull markets immediately after.
Context, in 2020, the halving happened in about right around May. So we bottomed in March with Corona down to like 3,300. And after that, it was rocket fuel. You had the halving, and then it was just an upward trajectory all the way until November of 2022, basically. I mean, you had the up and down. You had the drop in April of 21 or April or May of 21. You had that like 40% drop where we hit the 60, and then we went all the way back down to like 30 at one point, and then we went all the way back up to 69, and then back down since. But the halving is basically when the supply that's released to the public from mining is cut in half. So right now, 950 per day are released to the public through mining. That'll be cut to 450.
Yeah, I've heard some good things about Handshake. I know their halving's coming up in 26 days. I don't know much about this coin, but I'm looking at the chart. Looks like it could be possibly a good opportunity. Again, I don't know much about it, but that's cool. It shows like different coins down here, and they're having like Litecoin's 118 days.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you
yeah.
own any Litecoin?
I did, but I actually during this bear market, I converted it all to Bitcoin.
I don't know one person that owns big Litecoin. Isn't that crazy?
I had like 26 of them, and I converted them all.
I don't know one person that has Litecoin. And like when you look at the
It's an old
chart,
school coin. It's an old school coin.
but like look at the chart, like look at 18 and 20. It didn't even like break the that you would think it would break that, right?
Yeah,
So what if it did that for a third time? I'd be like, screw this coin. It can't even break out. But again, even if it went back to an all-time high, that would be still a good return from
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So awesome.
It survived. I mean, it's survived since its inception. It's I forget the saying for it, but once something lasts 10 years, there's a name for that. I forget the name.
Blue
for it.
chip.
What is it?
Blue chip.
No. There's a different name. It's when something passes 10 years. When Bitcoin passed, they said it too. I can't remember what it is, but Litecoin's been around since I think it's either 2011 or 2012, and it survived. So
Yeah.
something to say for that. A lot of coins haven't.
So moving on to the next tweet. This says Bitcoin monetizes peace and love. I'm gonna go ahead and play it. All right.
Yeah, I'm interested in your thoughts on it when you
Okay.
see it.
The U.S. and these other countries in Europe, they're cracking under the pressure of fiat money madness. You know, fiat money breeds violence. Fiat money breeds war. Bitcoin monetizes peace and love. And I explain why that is, because it's unconfiscatable. So no matter how much coercion you attempt or violence, you cannot get my Bitcoin. So you have to come at me with something different. You have to come at me with something that I want in exchange for my Bitcoin in a peaceful way. So violence and war are demonetized by Bitcoin. So once again, El Salvador, being a small country, really doesn't have a military presence really to match the United States or China. But in this world, in this paradigm, in a Bitcoin standard world, that's actually a liability. Think about the U.S. spends now $1.5 trillion a year on the Pentagon to defend the U.S. dollar. Well, if the U.S. dollar is no longer world reserve currency and it's being inflated away to zero, you're still spending $1.5 trillion to defend this absolute worthless piece of paper. And that's about half of all the tax receipts you collect in the United States. So half of all the tax receipts collected go into defending the U.S. dollar via the Pentagon, right? So
that's crazy. That's crazy. So basically, he said a lot of our taxpayers and our dollars go towards defending the Pentagon and the U.S. dollar. Which, if it's a worthless currency that's getting hyperinflated away, why are we spending so much of our tax dollars on protecting this dying currency? El Salvador, they're the largest Bitcoin holder. They have something of value. You can't steal their Bitcoin. Like, you don't know where their private keys are. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
And they're using volcanoes to mine it, and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of Bitcoiners that have been moving there. Max Keiser moved there. He's there with his girlfriend. He pledged to assist moving 10,000 Bitcoiners to El Salvador, and I think 2 years was his goal, and I think he's accomplished like either 25 or 30% of that so far. It's just like these other countries these other parts of the world are getting it. And we talked last week about some of the BRICS countries, starting to do and settle trade outside of the United States dollar. And in the past week, we saw that again with China and Russia, China and Brazil. They're all settling in the yuan. They're no longer using the United States dollar. It's like little by little, the world reserve currency status is eroding from our currency, and you can just imagine the type of hyperinflation that will occur once it's like fully eradicated as being the world reserve currency.
Yeah, I think America is going to be losing this innovation race.
We are losing the innovation race.
Yeah, we are.
You're watching what's playing out on the world stage, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, red or blue. Like, you can see that China's making plays. Like, they're doing things to. I texted this to a friend the other day. Like, I think that World War III already started. I think we're in the middle of the war and we just don't realize it because we're so used to boots on the ground and people dying and tanks and all that stuff. Like China has an all-out assault on the dollar. Like they're fighting us digitally right now.
And
we
their
don't even
and their
realize it.
apps and their TikTok apps.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. They're fighting us digitally, but we just don't even recognize it. We don't even realize it's happening. And we're losing.
Crazy.
We're losing the war.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Wow. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah, 100%.
And
I strongly believe that.
You think like TikTok and all those other apps that are like they're like gathering a lot of
smaller part of the op, but I think that the main operation has been going after the dollar, and that's been something they've been doing for a long time. But Corona opened up a portal for them, and our insane amount of printing of money, like they sat back and watched what we were doing to ourselves, and they just waited for the carnage, and they just swooped in.
That's insane.
And they got other countries to see, like, look, the dollar, look what they, like I talked about this last week, look what they did to us after Bretton Woods. They told us they were going to back this dollar by gold. And then 2 decades later, they're printing money crazily. And then by 1971, they decide that we're just going to print to insanity and the gold is no longer backing our dollar. And we're stuck because we've already agreed to use the dollar to exchange and trade. So we had this thought process that gold was going to back everything, and the United States just basically said, F you to everybody. So it's been decades of them trying to figure out how do we get off the dollar, and they haven't been because all the other currencies were so weak. Well, now our currency has gotten so weak that it's made other ones stronger, and they're exploiting that.
Yeah. Wow.
Not to mention the advent of cryptocurrency and you know these other countries are stacking. Like Russia's they have some mining in their country. The Kazakhstan's got a lot of mining. Like they're stacking. And China was one of the originators. Like back in the early days, China had much of the hash power, and then they allegedly like banned it. But like if you look at hash rates, like a lot of it is still went back to China.
I know there was like a potential 51% attack in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so moving on. U.S. banks lost nearly $400 billion in deposits in March, biggest monthly loss in deposits in U.S. history. This data shows the gravity of the banking crisis and why the government acted so quickly to bail out depositors. Trouble is, I'm not sure they fixed the real problem. Oh, so this is a thread. So the real problem, in my view, is that the Fed has been aggressively contracting the money supply through quantitative tightening. 2022 was the first year since the Great Depression that M2 money declined year over year. Previous times that happened all had depressions and banking crisis. And this was in 1929. Holy moly.
Well, I think that the commercial banks, the regional banks, they're under immense pressure right now. The problem is, we've talked about this before, because of fractional reserve banking, I would say if not 100%, 95 to 100% of banks, if you were to, all the depositors were to show up today and ask for their deposits, they would not be able to satisfy them. It's just the way the system's set up. And I think that coupled with the rising interest rates and these banks putting their money at such low interest rates, and the rates are higher now, and it's just like these regional banks, I just think that there's going to be more failures. I don't think that they're going to be able to save all of them. And if they do, that'll be even more catastrophic. I mean, can you imagine if the Fed just came in and said every single deposit is backed? I mean, it's like 19.9 trillion in bank deposits. So they're just gonna create $19.9 trillion of a backstop, because you can't just say you're going to do that without actually having the money to the side, right? So you're actually creating another balance sheet with 19.9 trillion on it. Mm-hmm. You have to, right? Because you're saying that that's insured.
Right.
I mean, we printed 9.9 trillion in 2020 and look what happened. I mean, can you imagine doubling that to try to save banks? Like, this is just not, it's insane, man. I can't believe that these people like couldn't see some of this coming and just like did this to the extreme that they did it with the printing and giving money away and shutting the economy. It's just like, in retrospect, like looking back, it's like, man, like I can't believe we did this. Can't believe it actually happened.
We did it to ourselves.
Yeah. Or you got to pay, like there's consequences, man. We've been kicking the can down the road for generations. Like our parents, the baby boomers, like they've been kicking the can down the road and it was coming to us and now it's going to come to our kids. Like, it's just like, you can only kick the can for so long until like, no, the music stops and somebody's got to sit out the game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So this podcast is ending in the next 4.5 minutes. So for the last 4.5 minutes, do you want to just give any last minute thoughts, on where you think, the industry's headed and,
There's just a lot of things going on now that haven't been going on in previous cycles. Things were so good for so long that, you had your top, then you had your bear market, then you had your top, then you had your bear market, then you had your top. And now we got a bear market, but now this time is a little bit, different because there's so many other macro things going on that were never going on before. Just alone, the fact that we have rising rates that we never had before. So we're going to see, like, can Bitcoin persevere and crypto persevere through a market of rising rates? And I think we're getting some of those answers already. I mean, since the Fed has been raising rates, we're up almost 100%. I mean, the bottom was 15.5 and we're at 28 and we almost hit 30 at one point. So we almost did a 100% return. You got banks have never been more fragile than they are now, like today. You have everyday people questioning, are my deposits safe in the bank? You just have, a lot of uncertainty in regards to still what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. You got China with an all-out assault on the United States dollar. You have countries like South Africa, and you have countries like Brazil that are now doing trade in currencies other than the United States dollar. There's just a lot of things going on where, in past markets and cycles, you could just pay attention to just Bitcoin and see what Bitcoin's doing and maybe look at the NASDAQ and maybe look at some little things there. But there's so much more that you have to pay attention to now that's going on that can have effects on all markets. Personally, again, this is not financial advice, but my personal opinion is that Bitcoin will persevere through all of it. I think we'll see Bitcoin persevere because I believe it's the apex predator asset. It's the greatest asset that's ever been created in mankind, and it will make it through all of this. Will everything else? I don't know. I don't know what else will. That's my just personal opinion as the quasi Bitcoin maxi. I feel like you can't do wrong putting some money into Bitcoin. Like Paul Tudor Jones, who's a multi-billionaire, was saying years ago at the beginning of the pandemic, if you're not putting 1% to 2% of your net worth into Bitcoin, you're doing it wrong. Because if everything goes to shit, that 1% or 2% will make up for the 98% that you don't have into it. So I think it's safe at this point. At this point, I think it's egregious. And I'm going to say this, and I don't think this is necessarily just financial advice. I think it's absolutely egregious. If you study anything finances, any sort of, and I'm just saying the guy that has a 401k, the guy that might dabble in stocks on Robinhood, or, might read a Wall Street Journal article. Like, if you're that guy and you don't have like a nibble of Bitcoin at this point, that's absolutely egregious to me. If you know a little bit about finance and you don't own at least 1% of everything you put into something of Bitcoin, you're doing it wrong.
And I would argue more like a 5-10 percent. I personally have like 80-90%, but I have patience and conviction.
No, I'm saying, I absolutely agree with what you just said, but I think for the guy that has none, you need to get off zero at this point. Like, stop bullshitting, get some Bitcoin. If you got to do it on Coinbase or Gemini or one of these exchanges, learn about self-custody, get a ledger, get a treasure, get a hot wallet, get a cold wallet, learn about that stuff, put it in self-custody, figure it out, man. Get a Lightning wallet,
right? Send
1,000 sats to someone or have somebody send it to you, earn some free ones online. I put stuff up on how you do that.
And that's the thing. Use the products. It's easier once you actually use the product to have more belief in something. And that's why we've created this newsletter for you guys, which is 100% free. You guys can opt out at any moment. We're going to leave the link in the description below. Again, swipe up, DM us, whatever. We'll send you the newsletter. There's no obligations, just free value from Don and I right to you guys' inboxes. So that's really it for today, guys. Just give us a like, follow, subscribe. And if you have any questions or concerns, leave it in the comments below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I think this is episode 8. 8 or 9. We're getting there. We're building in a bear market.
Don't trust, verify.
Thank you, guys.